So, to start off, we're going to start talking about technology and assistive technology I'm most familiar with. And things like that I'm most familiar with is going to be Chromebooks, Google Docs, ICEV, Kahoots, projectors, and PowerPoint. So, to start off, the experience and knowledge in my degree area that I have is going to come from in my high school days. I did a lot of rodeo queen competitions, and with those competitions comes a lot of studying for horses and how our horses are taken care of, how they're maintained, health issues, all kinds of things like that we have to know about our horses. And so the knowledge that I obtained through that experience is how I became so familiar with horses. And so I feel like with that experience, I'm able to teach a class about horses to the best of my knowledge. And then my experience in wildlife, it doesn't really come from a classroom setting. My father works for a wildlife organization, and so growing up, I just learned from him. Just by being in the same environment as my father, I learned from him and the people that he worked with. I've talked to many biologists, have those people's contact. It's just something I grew up with. And from then, livestock. I grew up around livestock. My grandfather owns a ranch. He's ran anywhere from 30 head of cattle to 80. He still runs a little bit of cattle, but since he's getting older, he has to have other people take care of them, or he's starting to sell them off a little bit. But with livestock, I have knowledge in cattle, I have knowledge in hogs or swine, and I have a little bit of knowledge in goats, but that's about where my knowledge ends. In floral design and greenhouse, I don't have a ton of experience, but that's all going to be from classroom settings. Floral design, I took a class in college because, I'm going to school to be an ag teacher, so I need that. I've also taught that class, and I've also taught greenhouse management. Not that I knew much about it, but when you're teaching a classroom, you tend to do a little bit more research, in my opinion. Alright, my hobbies are going to include or revolve around many aspects of agriculture. When it comes to my hobbies, I'm very into the horse industry. I raise and train my own horses. I have a 2-year-old colt right now that is in the process of training, and I do a lot of lessons. I have a few little girls that will come, and I'll either teach them on my horse or I'll teach them on their horses, and we just kind of go from there. When it comes to wildlife and livestock, I go with my dad. I travel with him a lot. Sometimes I go with him to wildlife releases where they're releasing turkeys. Sometimes I just go with him to a banquet because he's on the sales aspects of his organization. So whenever I say banquet, it's like a fundraising banquet for their organization. Livestock, I just grew up around livestock. I help my grandfather when he needs me, if he needs the horses or whatever it is that he needs, and I just I surround myself in many aspects of agriculture. I've grown up around the industry, and I just have never seen myself leave this industry, and that's why I'm here trying to become an ag teacher. Alright, so my philosophy of using technology in the classroom. My idea of incorporating technology into my classroom is by allowing my students to critically think, to create a project, or for an everyday lesson. What I want technology to do for my students is give them the capability to incorporate real-world computer skills in the classroom in order to be prepared to take their knowledge outside of my classroom. The programs I believe that will help me accomplish these goals are Microsoft Office, Kahoots, ICEV, Chromebooks, and a projector. Alright, so what I think is most important to me while using technology in my classroom is by using technology in my classroom, I want to teach kids to succeed in any direction they decide to go. I feel like using technology in the classroom can give my students an extra edge in learning in my classroom, and the most important thing to me is student success. My favorite theory and how we use it. I like using Bloom's taxonomy theory because I can use it as a step-by-step system in creating lessons that my students may actually listen to. I just like the idea of just the words that it brings to mind just by looking at the graph, like creating, evaluating, analyzing, applying, understanding, and remembering. That's everything that I want my students to be able to do in my classroom. Okay, the teaching methods I have learned this semester. From the experience of being in the classroom this semester, I feel like the methods of PowerPoints, they kind of need to be changed. If a PowerPoint needs to be used, I plan to incorporate a game or something to keep my students interested in the lesson. I'm currently looking into phone apps that my students can also add or follow along within a classroom that would benefit them in having knowledge literally at their fingertips. I want my students to learn not to just take an agriculture class because I think it's easy. I also learned that while teaching my students, they like to hear my experiences. If I have an old story working with cattle, they want to hear it. They may think that it gets me off topic, but in reality, my stories relate to the lesson. And with these stories, my kids think of it as fun, so they're going to be able to remember these stories a little bit better than maybe some of the words I say off of my lesson. How can technology change the culture of a school? Well, technology can change the way students learn. They believe with technology, maybe we can teach these kids something they may not know. And if we're using technology and they don't know how to do it already, it usually piques their interest a little bit more. Describe how the use of technology can improve student reflection, collaboration skills, and enhance sense of community. By using technology, these kids have knowledge at their fingertips. They can look at current events happening inside their community and stay up to date with the world. I feel that if I can find ways to make learning agriculture fun, that alone will allow students to be able to reflect on a lesson better. How will I apply technology to weekly lessons? Well, a new idea I recently began processing and experimenting with is finding an app that I can have my students download that relates to my classes and the lessons. And each week we can have a day to look at the app and either play a game on it and explain the importance of the game or different aspects to the students, or simply review it and discuss it. There are several apps that I've found on my phone just to do with agriculture, like there's an ag web that students can get on that tells them everything that's going on in agriculture currently. For something like my greenhouse class, there's an app called ID Weeds, and that's something that they're going to have to use in the greenhouse by identifying weeds that may be popping up with their plants. There's an app called Farm Journal TV, and this is something I can pull lessons off. Well, I not really pull lessons off of, but I can find a video about agriculture that relates to the lesson that we're going over. And then another one that I haven't really got to explore with a whole lot yet is My American Farm, and it's through the Farm Bureau, and it's actually incorporating STEM into curriculum through these games. So I'm still exploring that one, but these are just part of my experiments that I'm playing with right now.